So there we go. All right. So I think there's a few more people coming, but see, Alice, I want to eat whatever you're eating right now. She's so cute. Oh my God. Yeah.
You want it here, Alice? I'll fix it.
Oh. Yeah. All right. So
I don't know how you did that.
So I don't know. Should we wait another couple of minutes, see if anyone else pops on? So I have 7:02. I don't know if that's right. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it's 7:02 on my laptop and 7 o'clock on my phone. So
that's cool. I'll just share with you. Oops. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Alice is pressing buttons. Alice, stop it, please, honey. Okay, we're gonna talk for a couple minutes and then we'll go. Okay. My daughter's very high needs. It's really hard to get work done with her. I'll just share that I posted this to the Facebook group as well. I was just in Miami and South Beach, which is one of my favorite places ever.
Excuse me, I was trying to fix it.
Yeah, but it's not working, sweetie, and I don't know what to do about that. We walked by this. Can I just talk for a minute? Well, then we're gonna have to go, and you can't look at these pictures at all. We were just walking by a storefront in Lincoln Mall, which is a really cool outdoor mall, and it's called Runway bathing suits or runway bikinis. But oh my God, they had the most luxurious, beautiful, literally something you'd wear on a runway bathing suit. And I've set a new goal and they're $300 USD for 2 pieces. So I've set a goal that I'm going to go back to Miami and get one of those guys just for the sheer luxury of owning one of those things and wearing them at the beach and wearing them at Cabana Pool Bar, which is one of Toronto's hottest summertime spots to go. And I wrote about in my message on Facebook to you guys that a couple of my friends own an events management company and they're promotion people. So they're always at Cabana and all the hot spots in Toronto. And I haven't dared gone because I didn't feel I had the post-baby body to pull it off. But this summer I'm going to go and I'm really, really excited. I finally feel confident enough to do so. So goal is to have my very sexy bathing suit by then. So that's my share.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's, when I was going to Mexico, it was okay, I'm going to grab a couple of bathing suits because all my bathing suits were way too big. And I thought, well, I'll just grab a couple at Walmart, and anyway, I decided, no, I've done some hard work. So I went down to, Bob Cajun. They had that bikini place. I think there's 25,000 bikinis or 2,500 maybe, 2,500 bikinis and bathing suits. And it was Catherine that told me about it because she went before her trip. And it's that same thing, each piece was $100,
Yeah.
And that was just the bottoms. I'm well, I guess I need the tops too, but yeah, so it's, and it's interesting because when I wore my Walmart bikini, no, it wasn't a Walmart. I bought, was it Victoria's Secret's Aqua? I bought a little bikini there, or not little, but anyway, a bikini. And, you go out to the beach or out to the pool area but I wore the expensive one, there was comments made. So obviously, for me, I wouldn't have known the difference, but other people could see you coming in. I got,
there's something really cool about, for me, I'm all about quality versus quantity and just investing in really key high quality pieces. This is what I'm dealing with right now. My daughter going into my face. And I'm part of, Shannon knows this, but I'm part of a women's group called Get Rich Lucky Bitch Boot Camp. It's a great book if you want to read it. And she's all about incremental upgrades. I hope you can still hear me, but she's all about upgrading your whole life to whatever first class means to you. And for me, one of those things is having at least one really dynamite bathing suit. Maybe not for Body Blitz or the spa because it'll get ruined, but for Cabana Pool Bar, perhaps.
Yeah. And you had a nice little bathing suit on yourself, Chris, in Mexico. So
I had a nice old one that fit.
Yeah, he got into an old bathing, like a really nice boy short, black with red stripes on the side that he wore when I met
Nice.
him. So for him to
Nice.
put those back on, it was like, hello, I like those. That's a nice outfit. So
That sounds like Daniel Craig in Casino Royale-ish.
It was actually
yeah,
that style.
that's exactly it. Yeah, yeah.
I love that style. It's very hot.
Mhm.
Awesome. Good for you, Chris.
Yeah. So he's
Yeah, it was fun.
yeah. Do you have any shares? How you made it in Mexico and
Yeah, I was bad in Mexico.
You were bad?
I was bad. Yeah.
What do you mean by bad?
Well, you go and my first plate of food, my first plate of food was usually pretty good. And then you go back for the second one and it wasn't so good.
Oh. How did your weight hold up, though, when you came back?
I'm up a few pounds, but it's dropping off pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And have you tried doing like a steak day or a chicken day since you got back?
No, I'm just back to like my normal, I'm probably not eating over 1,000 calories and I'm not needing to right now. So, but I'm doing the fat, so I'm not like the bulletproof coffee and bulletproof tea. So, I didn't eat my lunch until 2:30 and I didn't even eat all of it. So,
So probably getting back into keto a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So, tapping into your body fat.
Yeah. So.
Nice. Okay, that's cool. So that should probably come off within the week.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I went up like 2.5 pounds, so I was really happy because any other time in my life, with the traveling, the food, the stress on your body, I would gain like an easy 10 pounds on vacation, no problem.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't come off, So I had a few moments, like even though I was trying to be all zen about it, there was, a few moments where I kind of fell into that fear place, with I've undone all this work, the extreme thinking. And then I'm like, oh, come on, Shannon, you're on vacation, chill, enjoy yourself, just make good choices. And so for the 7-8 days we were there, I basically fasted for breakfast. Well, not really fasted. I'd go get a tea and then put like butter in it. And that would get me till lunch. And then I just have like a salad or a protein. And then at snack, I would get the corn chips and the guacamole. And I don't normally eat corn chips, but I figured it was better than, wheat chips. And then dinner was usually, for me anyway, I can't speak for Chris. Dinner for me, I would just order like a little appetizer and then sort of the main course. And usually I'd have to bring it back to the room with me or I couldn't finish it. And then when I went for my desserts, instead of doing the cakey desserts, I went for like the cheesecake type desserts and cheese curds, because those are all, the good fats, right? So, there was one night they had a surf and turf out by the pool and I went, and it was a huge line, so it wasn't something that you could go and fill up again. But my daughter didn't finish hers, and then I turned into a little bit of a mummy garbage can because I was like, oh, I don't want to get back in line, but I still wanted what she had. And so I did finish that meal, and I was like, I wasn't feeling good in my stomach or in my head, like what I had done, because that was probably the most I've eaten since October, right? So that was upsetting. But, I got over it. And the next day, I didn't eat very much. I wasn't feeling so well the next day. But still 2.5 pounds, which is nothing really. That could be like light inflammation, right?
Yeah.
So that was very exciting. And then just and getting right into the program. So this is day 5, so down 4.9 pounds already. So I guess Cheryl and I'll be neck and neck for the next a few weeks, but it's it's nice that there's a whole bunch of us sort of at the same stage. Because when you're, I had a moment with it last night at 7:00. I actually got hungry, and I was like, it kind of shocked me. Like I was feeling hunger, and I don't have my fruit until 8. So I thought, okay, I gotta do an hour here. So I ended up just drinking some zero water and then going and vegging for a bit, and just saying, you know what, you can do this. And by the time it was my fruit time, I wasn't even hungry anymore. So, but you just. And then knowing that, what, there's a bunch of us in this same boat right now, and then having that, knowledge of other people are in the exact same situation you're in, it just makes it easier, right? So.
Yeah, you're not in it alone, which there's so much power to that, to being supported in the journey with other people that are going through the same hills and valleys,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then, I see, like I was sitting here, I ate my dinner a bit later, and, then Chris comes to the door here, and he's got like his bulletproof coffee, and he's drinking, and he's got the foam on his mustache, and I'm like, oh my God, you're killing me right now. Are you doing that on purpose? Yeah. Can I lick that? 'Cause, but I don't really need it. The scale is, that every morning on the scale is going to be the treat, right? So, and
that's amazing.
Yeah, and curious about how this final round is going to go, and I'm not worried, but it's just sort of I'm anxious to see, am I going to feel hunger more because I'm running out of the fat stores, or but I know we have a lot of tricks up our sleeves to deal with that, so I'm not worried at all. And so I thought Catherine would be on tonight, but I know she's doing really well.
Good.
Now she had texted me and said she's really happy with, the hunger disappeared and she's doing really well. So that's good.
So it did, right? It
Yes.
did go away for her? Okay.
Yeah. So,
Good.
but yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we have to adjust dosages and usually bring the dosage down, not up, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Too much HCG will make a person hungrier than they need to be. Just weird, right?
Yeah, so I'm keeping an eye on mine. I'm like not going over the 20 units, and just making sure it's right at the line, or if not, a little bit under. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I know Talia was at like 150 for the entire 6 weeks, and that was her sweet spot for her.
Okay.
She's down 30 pounds versus before. Or was it 15 or 20? But anyway, now she's down, and it's like her body just, with the 200 units, she can't do it. It'll make her hungry. So it's interesting to see how that pans out.
So she's down 30 pounds on this round?
I want to say she's down 30 in total.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I know she's at 130 now, which is the lowest. She's never been that in her adult life. Like she was that weight in like grade 8 or something, she said. So, but I don't remember her starting point. But yeah, she noticed her first 6 week round, 200 was fine, but this 6 week round, she had to be at 150 the whole time, not to be hungry.
Yeah, and then getting near her goal weight, where my first round wasn't a struggle, but I had really gotten tuned with some emotional eating stuff, and then I find the 5-HTP saved my life, and so I was back on it yesterday again, and that's definitely just an awesome supplement, for mood. But yeah. Anyway, it's
cool.
Yeah.
Some great shares.
Yeah, I saw your video with you and Talia, and the what was the topic? Vegetarian, I think. Anyway,
yeah.
Even just from seeing her in Toronto in March to that video, I saw a huge difference in her. So I thought, yeah, it looks awesome. So
it's funny because I was sitting with her in the spa Body Blitz in November, and I was telling her about the program that I developed and like what it all entails, and she's been struggling with her weight for the longest time, and she just got this spark in her eye, and I'm like, Talia, like it's actually possible to take that weight off. She had thyroid problems, I'm like, you actually can. I'm like, I swear to God, just do the program. And like, to remember what she looked like in November, and then when we just saw her in March, like she's a different person. It's astounding.
Wow.
It's astounding what that weight loss can do. And she feels great, which is awesome.
Amelia was at the 5-HTP. Is that what?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, 5. Can you get it? Like I did. I just went to the health food store, and Chris. I know there's different. I don't know what brand you recommend, Erica, but this is the one I got. I don't know if I can get that center. There we go.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Amelia, it's an amino acid precursor that helps your brain make serotonin, which is, if we have emotional eating cravings, particularly for carbohydrates or sugars, 5-HTP can really help. I don't recommend doing it for more than 4 months, but you can do it up to then, because a lot of us are deficient in serotonin, just because of the way that the North American lifestyle is.
Because I know when I posted the other day.
Sorry, what's that?
I was saying, I know when I posted the other day about my emotional eating, somebody mentioned adrenal support, so I was going to ask you about that as well.
Yeah, I think what we should do, you've had your intake call with Shannon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we should look at, Shannon, you and I should look at a really individualized approach for Amelia, because it might involve 5-HTP for you, Amelia, and a little bit of adrenal support as well. So I'm going to look at your intake with Shannon when I get back.
Okay.
And we'll make some recommendations. But yeah, do you find, like, what flavors or what type of food do you crave when you want to have either like emotional eating or any kind of craving? What do you crave?
I find that it's more emotional. I don't find it's a craving. I find it's more an emotional thing where I just want to shove something in my face. So it's usually carbs.
Okay, usually carbs.
Yeah,
okay.
Because when I'm fighting it, it's not a problem, right? It's more like when I'm having just a raw emotional reaction, like I just noticed that, like, if there was a carb in front of me, like I'd probably eat it. Clearly I don't, but I just noticed that definitely creeps in there when I'm having a high stress moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you meet the 5-HTP pretty well.
Okay.
I was gonna say, does that get worse around your period, like, or around PMS time? Do you get worse or heightened cravings or worsened emotional eating?
Actually, this time around it was like near the end of it, like kind of one day after it.
Okay, kind of.
But I am around it like all day with the kids.
Right.
So it's in my face. So if I'm having a moment, like it's already right there, right?
Yeah. I feel
get it
I'm
at
the same
work.
way.
But I
get
find
it.
like we were talking about hunger. Like today, I actually was like 12 o'clock before I had my lunch, and I didn't feel any hunger. I was worried that maybe the HCG wasn't working. HCG wasn't working, but clearly it's not that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. My first round, I was fat loading the same time I was PMSing, so I didn't have any reaction because I had all this food in me right when I started my period. But then once into the first round, when I got my period again, I wasn't on the 5-HTP. I wasn't doing anything really, and I felt like I was in a razor blade, like a maze of razor blades, because I couldn't, you wanted to go for some comfort, whether it was chocolate or carbs or, and any time I moved, I can't do that, and I just felt like I was being cut all the time. And I was like, I just went into my bed and put on Netflix on the laptop and was just like, nobody come around me. I can't even be around me, and it was brutal. And then that's when Dr. Talia was like, get on the 5-HTP. So I got that right away. And it's been awesome. I've just been like sailing through and no PMS anymore. And just
another one?
Yeah. he's buying shares in this company now. But it was just a lifesaver. And you know what I think is interesting? I think like the Braverman test you gave there, Erica, Like I know my mom did it. I don't remember her results, but I decided to give it a try, and to see that I was GABA and serotonin deficient. And then I looked that up to see what were the symptoms of it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this has been me since my 30s, like probably my late 20s. All those symptoms I've had bang on. So it's just another piece of the puzzle, right? So doing that test would be an awesome indication too, probably, to see where we are, individually, where we are on that scale.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to do that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to chime in because I'm going to run with my daughter to the bathroom, so I'll get off. I'll try to come back on. But yeah, it is great. And I posted the Braverman test to the Facebook group, so if you search Braverman, Braverman, you can fill it out and see which neurotransmitters you're deficient in. I'm actually making a video on this too, like how to know if you're deficient in something, and what that causes is, like Shannon's saying, like it'll be more emotional cravings or more food cravings, so it helps fight that. Anyways, I'm gonna run, but I'm gonna try to pop back in. Okay, bye for now.
Bye. Yeah, and I'll post the test as well, because I have a link to it. But it really interesting, because ever since because my girls were born, I was probably 32, 33 when they were born, and after they were born, I struggled with like severe anxiety and heart palpitations and extreme headaches all the time and migraines, and trying to think, there was like the weight gain, and it just was like Shannon Stark, bang, 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 everything I've been suffering from. And I just did this yesterday because I was kind of curious, and I just feel like, oh my goodness, like, because you don't realize that that something so simple could be causing all these issues, and to know that I can, balance that out. So the 5-HTP it's a part of my regime. Also, even though I sleep really well, to have those deficiencies, I'm also taking like a half a tablet of the melatonin that you put under your tongue. So I did a whole one last night, because I had sent Erica a message. Do I do like the whole tablet, or like what do I do? But she didn't get to me in time, because I go to bed fairly early. And so I thought, I'll just put the whole 3 milligrams. Well, that was too much. I woke up to pee and I was like drugged, so, but I did have a good sleep. So tonight we're doing half a tab, but just being aware of that stuff, it just really helped it, and it kind of takes the blame off of us, because we're like, why am I like this? Why do I have anxiety? Why do I react this way to stress? And it was really nice to see that and go, hey, not that, I can blame something else, but it's like, it's not all in my control. It's not a character flaw. It's something we can balance out. So that was really exciting yesterday. So I have some new hope around those little things around my personality that are just basically, it's a serotonin deficiency and GABA deficiency. But
yeah, totally. I was saying, yeah, totally, because I find that interesting. You were mentioning when your daughters were born, and I find the same thing, because my daughter was IVF. Like, I was convinced since after I delivered and sort of stopped nursing, that whatever, hormonal therapy I was on, it's affected me like, it seems like permanently, because I haven't been able to kind of figure it out yet. And I do feel that like the way I've been since then is very different than the 10 years before. Sort of very similar to the way I, hormonally reacted when I was a teenager or young adult versus like in my 20s. So I was always convinced that hormone therapy affected me severely. It affected like the PMS, the menstrual cycle, the mood swings, the anxiety, and all that other stuff. Yeah. So I'm sure partially it's also being a mom and, like not sleeping and all those other things that kind of come with having a child. But I always believed it was also the hormonal therapy just did something inside, and like nothing, sometimes doctors and nothing, like medical tests don't show anything, but I know how I feel. So I find like this emotional reaction over the last week is also kind of triggered by that. And the fact that I feel like I'm stuck at a certain number that psychologically has affected me for a while. And it's sort of like I'm calling it a plateau and it's affecting me. So I'm trying to fight it, you know, by having a breakthrough mentally versus having an emotional reaction. Because I kind of find like emotional eating is like drinking or drugs, right? Like that's I chose that as my poison, right? So I'm kind of trying to be proactive about it, even though inside it makes me angry and frustrated. And then, you know, like the hormones start and then the emotional eating wants to, you know, chime in. But then when I try to go by like the hunger scale and everything else, I'm trying to do the steps and not be mad at myself and be like, it'll be fine. And I feel tested this week because I've been stuck at a number that's had like psychological impact for a while. So I'm hoping that'll break, or rather otherwise it'll be like way too long on it.
Yeah. And you know what? It's interesting because I didn't go through IVF, but I went through the Clomid and all the, you know, fertility drugs there. But so, yeah, totally, probably really messed us up. And then and if someone had said to me before, oh, you know, I would never be able to identify with being an emotional eater. I know people who are emotional eaters and I've seen them in action, and that's never been me. But like I said, you know, I had one day where I was like, you know, stress. And then I'm staying in the fridge, you know, like looking, what can I, you know, to soothe myself. And then to recognize that and go, whoa, like, you know, put the brakes on and go, wow, if not for this program, I would not have recognized that thought pattern, or, you know, and been total denial. So, and regards to plateaus, that I had a 187 plateau. That was my every diet I've ever done. Once I get to 187, that's it. I can't get below it. And you know, so I can relate because it's like, here we go, I'm getting close to 187 and then it's all going to stop. And but you know, I'm 160 this morning, so it will happen. So then it's, you know, then the next thing is our mindset, right? And really doing, I don't know if you meditate at all or set intentions. And, you know, one thing Erica had us doing, like I think it was during my first round, is when you woke up in the morning, we had to do like 15 minutes, not even, of imagery work and imagining, you know, your body in like a really sexy dress or something, you know, like doing this and just putting that intention out there, seeing that image and waking up and then going about your day with that. And it's like an exercise, right? You exercise your muscles. This was exercising our brain and getting those feel good feelings. So yeah, definitely it's totally frustrating, but then once you break through, we're going to have a party, right? So
yep.
Yeah. So it is you know, the weight loss in this program is simple. That's not the hard part. The hard part is, you know, everything in the book that I'm reading now, you know, the weight loss apocalypse, you know, all the reasons we eat outside of hunger. And there's like several of them, and I can identify with every one of them. And for us, like, I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke, but I sure can eat, you know. So that's, like you said, it's your drug of choice, right? To soothe
totally.
yourself.
The running joke around our house is because I'm Polish background and I don't drink, I never drank. Like, everybody's convinced I'm definitely not Polish, right? Because I should be. But upon reflection, I kind of said that, like, I was never into alcohol as a teenager. I never smoked, but clearly I chose food, right? And sometimes I think we dismiss that as an actual addiction. But it is, because that's where I look to kind of, you know, not drink my problems away, but I want to eat them away, right? And I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And I can do it blindly, because you were saying, like, you had that open fridge, and that's what happened to me the other morning. I was preparing my daughter's lunch, right? And there's like a croissant in there, and I'm making the kids breakfast, and all of a sudden that croissant, I swear, had a mouth, and it was like, eat me. And I'm like, you're honestly losing your mind right now. Like, just stop it, right?
Smell it. Yeah.
Well, my daughter makes me smell her food, right? Because she knows like that I'm not eating it. So she's like, just smell it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And that's, yeah, like tonight I just said to Chris, I said, it's funny, I'm only like day 5, but what I wouldn't do for a little square of chocolate right now, that would just be so peaceful, so but it's not hunger. I'm not hungry at all. And it's all about that drug, and I don't know the process of someone coming off of heroin or any, cocaine or any of those. How long does that take? And then they have to avoid it. So the problem we have is we can't avoid food. So then we have to just really develop this relationship, a healthy relationship.
Passengers Mark Siegel and Elise Taylor, please board your vehicle.
Sorry, can you hear that?
Once again, Elise.
Yeah. Okay. I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh, a healthy relationship with food, right? And I know I talked to my mom about this because she's like, she's on maintenance now. She's like, I don't know what to eat. And I'm like, okay, you ate on protocol. And, I really push a high fat diet, which, healthy fats. And I'm making a list to put that on the Facebook page because I just believe that our bodies need that. And so I'm just constantly trying to create this better relationship with food. And I'm also even in that process of knowing what my body needs, I'm also going to try to be okay with some of the bad stuff, and have a treat. Like a treat for me would be wheat. Well, it's not really a treat. I don't feel good. I don't know. I can't think of a treat, or corn chips, like organic corn, even though they're organic or non-GMO, it's still not a food that I have a good relationship with. So I want to move towards those relationships with these foods. So, and I think that's part of the process of coming off the drug, like we're doing now. We're doing like a total, detoxing of all these foods. And it's hard because it's not about hunger. It is about our emotional dependence on this stuff. And a lot of it is garbage, right?
Definitely, because today, like, I had a very well balanced day. It was just like easy morning, like just a smooth day. And like I said, I didn't even think about, like, usually I'll have my fruit by 10 a.m. But today, like, it was like 12. I fed the kids. I'm like, oh, I'm not even hungry, but I guess I'll have my lunch soon. And I was the same thing. Like, I went for a long walk. Like, I kind of get exercise with them. It's kind of, you have to, but I was like, I wasn't, winded. I didn't feel tired or dizzy, which sometimes happen. So I'm like, because today was a well-balanced, like, emotional day, I had, the food did not like, I had a very good relationship with food. Nothing happened. But because I noticed the other day was just, it started off right away, intense, crazy emotions, just frustration. And right away, it's like, croissants were talking to me all day. I was like, trying to like not look in the direction of anything that had food, right? Like, it was just, it seemed like the whole day was messed up. Like, it was just complete, like, not anything positive, and all the food was just negative until I finally got out of the mindset, right?
Yeah.
I had that on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Except being I'm off protocol, it wasn't good. So, like cookies at Tim Hortons drive-through, and I had a bad day, and then my joints started to hurt because I don't eat a lot of wheat or gluten or sugar, and that. So then I was out working, and my joints were sore, and I was sluggish, and it kind of taught me something, and that. So now any of that in moderation. So, and now today I didn't have my lunch until 2:30. And I hardly eat anything in the morning, but I had a bulletproof coffee when I woke up, and I had a bulletproof tea at about 11:30. So, and the fats in it seemed to help. And then today was more calm because I was not wanting to be stressed today. So I wrote it in my in my manifestation book. And by the end of the day, things were going better. So,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, having the situation you're in, Amelia, where you're being exposed to all these foods that you are detoxing from, it's for our household, like we're kind of a paleo household anyway. So my daughter eats strict, my other daughter not so much. But I look at my mother's situation where it's just her and my stepdad, and they just bought all the foods that she could eat, and that's all she was exposed to in the fridge. And that's really good to be successful in the diet. But I think having all those foods available and in your face it's an extra challenge for you, but then you're dealing with it now and recognizing those emotional triggers where, I don't want to say my mom's not, but just an example of someone who doesn't have all that food in the house. They're not dealing with that until they go into maintenance. And then it's like, all of a sudden it's available to them, and then they're not learning the lessons where you're doing that now. So I think that's kind of cool, that you're going through the protocol and you're being exposed to all the drugs, and you're going to come out the other end, I think, way further ahead in the whole healing process around food and eating. So I think that's a really cool way to look at it too. So where if you're not exposed and then all of a sudden you're free, it's like a kid in a candy store, and then you're like,
That's called
eating.
Buffet on holidays.
Yeah, but, I did well on the buffet on holidays, but I've been, I've done 2 protocols, so I've really been working on that emotional dependence of food.
And I didn't.
And he didn't do so well, because you're walking around and there'd be like a table with like cakes and cookies and it's all beautiful, and Chris would be like, and I'm like,
they're bite-sized, so you take 3 or 4 of them.
But so I think that's awesome. It may suck for you right now, but I think in the long run, you're going to be way better off, coming out with.
In some weird way, it's kind of like actually nice, I guess, for lack of a better word, to have seen like the difference between a like seriously emotional day, like the other day where I literally thought I was losing my mind because I saw Brett talking to me, versus like today where it was like where it was like a balanced day, right? And it was like just a positive. Like the kids behaved well. There was no major problems. We got to go outside in the sunshine and all that kind of stuff. So it seemed like it was kind of nice to see like the difference between a high stress day and how I react, almost not by choice, but it's almost like, like subconscious, like you don't even know until you right? Like until you're almost holding that piece of bread or whatever it is. Versus like when I actually, wake up saying it's going to be a great day and I don't let anything get to me and the kids can't frustrate me. There's nothing they can do. So it's kind of nice to see like if I set myself up for just nothing's going to get to me, then food doesn't have the power over me. But when I wake up already like it's all why isn't this day over yet and it's 9 a.m., then I see food trying to like creep in and be that, monster that takes over you, right? So it is kind of nice to see it. But that the other day was just hard, and it just seems like, well, it was just one day and it's over now and it's past, and I guess I'm better for it.
Yeah. Well, it is about, setting those intentions. Like I wake up in the morning, I know, Erica got me on to the whole, the setting intentions and manifesting. And, I had watched The Secret, the movie few years ago, and I really liked that, but it didn't stay with me. And now Chris and I are both like really heavily into that. And even Chris said today, I don't know if you want to tell yours, like you kind of already did tell your story, but it's like you decide, Alice sneezing. Sorry. I get all this.
Erica, she's distracting.
Erica, she's
super cute.
This is what I deal with all day.
Uh-huh.
So you're talking about intentions and
Yeah,
the law of attraction and The Secret.
Yeah, and I just find it's like really working. Like I wake up in the morning and I have my book and I have all my goals and then I have different things, just different short little meditations I do to set my what my day is going to be like, and it really works. And then Chris is now doing it, and he's come back from vacation. You always go away from work to take a break, but then you come back to double the workload, right? So it's sometimes it feels like it's not worth it when you come back, and then so he was extremely stressed. And he texted me today. He goes, I put intentions out there that I don't want to have a stressful day. I want things to come easy. And I even wrote in my book, I said, wouldn't it be cool if Chris could be happy at work? Wouldn't it be cool if Chris could be stress-free at work? So that was something I wrote yesterday morning, and then you wrote it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he texts me, goes, my day's just done a whole, 360 turnaround, and he was happy and stress-free. So, it does work. You just gotta, set the intention. And I know it sounds woo-woo, but I know Erica gets me. But it does work. Imagery, putting it out into the universe, what it is you want. This is what I want. I want this sexy body. I want a healthy relationship with food. I want this, I want that, and just be open for it to happen. And, it's not always roses and sunshine, but you have those awesome days and then not so awesome days, but then you just get back into the pattern of doing it.
Well, even if it makes as far as the stress, even if the stress is less, it's better than going crazy with stress and where you can't even deal. So that's how it was the first part of the week. So.
Yeah, because I find my stress levels the same when it comes to my job, right? You're always going to have, 2 and 3 year olds freaking out. It's always the same. But I find it amazing how if I wake up with myself being flustered already at, I don't know, just for no reason already, then I can't handle the stress. Whereas every other day I handle the exact same load of stress. It never gets to me. Nothing bothers me. So it's like, I know that if I, like you said, I guess if I intend to have the day well, like positive and not the stress not getting to me, the stress is always the same. It's just how I choose to react to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, eh? Like, who knows? It could be the same every day, and it just depends on our reaction or our response, I guess is a better word. But
well, a reaction to other people usually causes stress, whereas a response doesn't cause as much stress.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's all encompassing. Like it's all, just like looking at a holistic approach to an illness and health. This is, you have the same approach to this program too, and look at everything going on. And I can't imagine. Like, I don't know, how many kids do you have in the morning? Like, all day?
There's 5.
5,
5 in the morning, then my daughter goes to school. So then there's 4 little ones, but they're all like 18 months to 3 years, right? And it's 4 boys. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, doing, I'm just curious. I don't know if you're familiar with the Ho'oponopono practice, but that whole it's just basically it's looking after yourself and calming yourself and being grateful and asking for forgiveness just for yourself, and then that radiates out to the people around you. So it's a simple practice, and we've been doing it like religiously since the beginning of April, and it works, eh? Like it's just you get this calm feeling over you, and then everything else seems to fall into place too. So one of the guys in The Secret, Joe, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, Erica, Vitale or Vitale or Vitale? Yeah. Okay. Joe Vitale, he was in The Secret, and he wrote this book, Zero Limits, which Erica's read, and I just finished reading last night. And it's really neat stuff. It's like really, anyway, I can't, that'd be like, I'm still trying to understand the concept of it. So to explain it, it's still difficult for me, but it just works. That's all I know.
Yeah. Have you heard of it, Amelia?
You know what? My dad has been trying to get me onto all those books for the last, I don't know, 5 or 7 years. And I've picked up more than one of them and tried to read them. And then I was always like, this is like beyond me. This is not me. I'm not into it. And I'm finding as I get older, I kind of see where my dad's wisdom is coming from, even though before I thought he was like, what is this stuff that he's making me read? So I've started picking more of those books up now, but I would say I'm a novice.
That's cool. Yeah, just in a nutshell, the Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian, it's a really old Hawaiian prayer. And there's four phrases that you say in any order, it doesn't matter, but it's thank you, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry. So it's those 4 phrases, and even if you don't think it's working, it does work. But if you just say those things to anything that's in your space or that's bothering you or triggering you, it takes away the emotional charge eventually. If it's a really strong topic, you have to keep repeating the phrases over and over and over again. And this Get Rich Lucky Bitch boot camp that I'm doing, they make us go through, we had to write a list of all of our triggers around money and wealth and what we think of rich people and all those false beliefs we might hold. And then we had to go and do I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, to every single item on our list. I want to actually add this as a module to our work too. So when you go through that, it's called decluttering, and you declutter your mind, your heart, your soul of any of the emotional charge around those things. So I did it around wealth, but you can do it around your body image, your weight, anybody that's ever said something negative to you, any negative perceptions you've had, yourself. And you just do Ho'oponopono through it. And it really releases the charge for you, and it helps you forgive yourself or the people who created that charge for you. And then it's like you're not trapped anymore in that whole victim mindset or the whole, like some of us retaliate, right? Like we'll just go back and forth in a struggle with that item. I'm trying to think of an example for you. Like say my mom has an image that rich people are jerks, then I'm like always in this struggle with her, trying to prove to her that not all rich people are jerks, and like look how much Bill Gates gives to AIDS and the cure for AIDS and whatnot. So instead of me having to engage in that power struggle, it just releases that charge and I don't need to engage in that anymore. I hope that makes sense. But so a lot of us are trapped in structures like that. But when you do Ho'oponopono, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, you can actually release that charge, which is really cool. Does that make sense in a nutshell? Did I capture that, Shannon, from your standpoint of the book?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not quite at that stage of describing it, but I have a father who I don't have a relationship with. I think the last, it's been 12 years. There was some physical abuse. Like he was a hitter, and so I think I thought that was normal growing up. And then once I had children myself, and then once they hit those ages that I have memories of, I got really angry and really, so I had to struggle, and I decided that, this wasn't someone I wanted in my life or in my kids' life. And, so I always, but then, that whole concept of forgiveness, I'd be like, hell no, like I'm not forgiving, no way, like really holding on to that. And that's something I've been working on a lot this last month, is just sending him love and asking for forgiveness, and not of him, but just of that energy in me. It's like I don't need that anymore. And then also, I have my 15-year-old daughter diagnosed MS 18 months ago, and their neurologist, she scares the crap out of me, and I don't like her, and she just represents all this scary stuff for me. And so what I've been doing for the last year is doing cord cutting meditation. So really like making her this really bad thing and cutting that cord and like making it that she's just this crazy lady, and now but yet it's always there. I always have that fear around her neurologist. And then once I started doing the Ho'oponopono, instead of doing that negative, like cord cutting stuff, I started to do the sending her my love and asking for forgiveness and, and doing, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. I like to end with love. I think that's my order, but I like to just, and I found after like a couple of meditations doing that, I don't have, like, it's just this, she's just this beautiful woman doing what she thinks is right now, and I don't feel like she's trying to harm my child anymore, because that's what you're trying to kill my child with all these, MS meds. But the relationship has done like a 190 in a short period. It might take a little bit longer with my dad, but with the neurologist, it was like within 2 or 3 sessions of doing this. And it's only like 15, 20 minutes. I don't spend a lot of time, but it's just with amazing results. And I'm thinking, is it that simple? Like, that's what's freaking me out. Is it that simple? And yeah, it is, and
I just want to say too, I just want to butt in for a second because I'm going to have to board my plane. And you brought up a good point. Forgiveness is for us. It's not condoning the behavior. And it's forgiveness is releasing ourselves from, like, not forgiving someone is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick and die. There's like an underlying resent that usually poisons us instead of the other person. So it's more to free us than anything. And again, it doesn't condone the behavior. It's just we're refusing to be victims of those sensations anymore of that event. So it's a really powerful thing to do.
Yeah.
I just want to say I love you guys. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your chat. My flight's boarding, so I'm going to jump on it.
Right,
and I'll catch up on you guys later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Have a safe flight.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I was gonna butt in that's actually interesting and kind of enlightening because the last, I guess, week and a half, I have a relationship issue right now with my sister since January, and I have my niece's communion coming up on Sunday, and I've already started experiencing like some anxiety about, I guess, seeing her. She moved away to like Barrie, so we don't see each other like as often anymore. So in some ways that's great, but I find that maybe that anxiety is also kind of halting the weight loss because my, anxiety, like the physical maybe reactions, that whole emotional eating, that has a part to it too, because I noticed today that I was actually getting nervous about seeing her on Sunday, and I was telling my husband the same thing. Like, I already started feeling like weird and anxious, and I want the weather to be perfect and other things to be perfect, so at least that doesn't mess it up and cause other things, right, which are so trivial. Like, who cares what the weather's like, right? And I'm starting to concentrate on other weird things, just to not, I guess, address the issue or think I'm going to do something wrong. Because so I think you guys were talking about completely makes sense. And it would make sense that it's kind of halting me this week, maybe, like, even though everything else is right, that's holding on to something, right?
Yeah, and that's a key word, right? Holding on. Your body's holding on, your mind's holding on to something, your heart's holding on. Yeah, it's letting that go and releasing that from your mind, from your heart, from our bodies, and like my body, I love to hold shit. I'm a huge, so I totally hear you. I'm gonna type out the spelling of the Ho'oponopono. And the other thing I was going to say, if you do a Google search, and I do it on my phone, I'll type in Ho'oponopono meditations, like guided meditations, and like a whole bunch come up. Mm-hmm. And I just listen to them. So they're pretty cool. So let me type that. Make sure I spell it right. Ho'opono. I think I typed that right. Anyway, it'll come up. It'll come up in a Google search. But and there's like a good going to sleep Ho'oponopono meditation, and it's just it just gives you that peace. And there was one night in Mexico where I was so my daughter had some reaction to the heat, and she had a bit of tingling in her arm, and of course I freak out because MS, you know, and I actually passed out and was brought up to my room, and I was dry heaving for a couple of hours. So it was really awful, and I was upset at the situation, even though she left and went up a mountain on a mule and zip lining and then rappelling down cliffs. You know, she was totally fine. I just was that mom in me, like, totally reacted. And plus I'm you know, I have anxiety. I suffered from that for years, and I have tools now, but just that reaction. And I was really upset because here I'm in Mexico and I'm laying in the hotel room dry heaving, you know, and like, this is so unfair, and just really feeling sorry for myself. And I was like, whoa, I need to stop. And I started doing the practice in my head, and I don't know, I might have been like a little bit dehydrated and delirious, but all of a sudden I was smiling, and I had probably been doing it, like laying there for 20 minutes, saying those sentences over and over in my head and saying, it's okay, you know, like, I love you, it's okay, please forgive me, you know, and doing that. And then all of a sudden I just had this like glow. I felt so good, even though I was still pretty nauseous. I was like, this peace came over me. And I wish I had this practice, because I have the same situation that you have coming up. When my sister got married, my dad was the MC, and I was in the wedding party, and I didn't want to have to deal with him at all. And I suffered so much leading up to the wedding, like massive suffering. And I was on a weight loss journey then, and I actually plateaued and stopped losing weight, and I didn't hit my goal for the wedding, but I was suffering so much about, you know, like what you said, it's like, oh, how's this going to go? And, you know, just really overwhelmed with it all. And I wish I had had this practice to just let it go and enjoy myself. So get Googling tonight and listening to the meditations, because they're really nice, you know.
Yeah, definitely, because I know when we talked about, I think in my intake, I was telling about the allergies. And it's actually kind of funny because, like, I'm convinced it's not food, it's not anything. My friend is convinced, she was saying it's probably stress, like your body's kind of having, you know, like throwing stuff out, like having an actual anaphylactic reaction just crap in your body that's not necessarily, you know, the typical allergy causing stuff. And it'd be interesting to find out on Tuesday what happens in the test. But I kind of feel like the last 3 weeks that I've been on this protocol, I've had nothing, right?
Really? Nothing?
Yeah, and you know, 2 weeks before, I was in the hospital all day because of anaphylaxis, right? So it kind of seems like it might just be complete coincidence, might be like nothing to do with it. But I'm kind of thinking, like, because I've kind of been more calm and, you know, in the process, and like, I guess believing that it's gonna work, and kind of being more optimistic and positive, right? And I've had no episode for 3 weeks. So it's kind of interesting, because in the 4 months before that, I had about 12. Wow. Right? Episodes of anaphylactic reactions just out of nowhere, and I've had no allergies. And now it's like I'm dying on the floor every other week, right? Literally, like, ambulance has to be called. So it's kind of weird, like, where is this coming from? And now I seem to be okay for 3 or 4 weeks now. So I don't know. It's like I'm kind of more a believer now how our body actually dictates, like, our mental state and our health and how we feel and all that stuff, right? Like, it's almost like you can't deny it.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I am curious. So you did a test for food as well, like different allergens?
Yeah, so on Tuesday, I have the test for, like, the full scratch test for all the foods and other things. And I'm also doing the blood test so that they can test, like, whatever allergies are in the blood. Yeah. So it's supposed to be, like, the full panel of everything, right? Chemicals, food.
Nice.
Okay. Whatever they test for. I think it's, like, the most concise I've ever gotten, because it's supposed to be everything, and I've never had a food allergy in my life. I've known on sensitivities, but nothing. I go from 0 to 100. I go to anaphylaxis right away. So it's kind of scary, because I'm pretty much at the hospital with epinephrine, right? And I've had no allergies my whole life until the first episode in September, and I've been in the hospital 4 or 5 times. and about 12 episodes of anaphylactic reaction where if I didn't take medicine, I would have stopped breathing.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Well, so this whole time for you. This is an awesome time for you to be on protocol because you are eliminating, right? So you're doing an elimination diet, and you're gonna clean, get these tests done. You're gonna get some more answers there. Do the Braverman test. I'll post that too. I should write a note to remember to do that. I'll just type it here, but then I'll put the post. Braverman test. And you get those puzzle pieces and start putting it all together. I've been doing this for 5 years, trying to figure myself out, and every step of the way it gets better and better and better. So I'm really curious to see what your tests come back as.
Sorry.
I had an 80s day go.
Yeah, really good. Sorry, she was just saying goodnight. Actually, it went amazing. Like, I think the outfit probably was like, she was really into it.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just a great time for discovery. And then when you have the maintenance, because if you're doing a second round, you can bring back, all the fats, all the meats, all the animal products. You can bring back the dairy and the nuts. But if you're doing a second round, ideally you don't want to bring back the sugars and the starches. You want to sort of avoid that till you are done, right?
Yeah, and I know from previous food sensitivity testing, like I should stay away from gluten and other things. So really that's good. That's going to be my goal to work towards, that I actually comply with that now, because even if I don't have an anaphylactic reaction, I definitely have like what Chris was talking about, like the joint reaction, the kind of sluggish, right, tired, kind of swollen, bloated reaction. So I am aware of that, so I should be proactive now. But I am going to do the second round for sure. And I think in the 6-week wait, the 3-week maintenance, and I guess 3 week more of maintenance, I think I'm actually going to get back to the gym as well, so that I use those 6 weeks to actually get back into the groove, because I actually miss it.
Yeah.
And then do the next 6-week round and keep going, because I'll probably need like 3 or 4 rounds, right?
Okay, so that's a good opportunity. Yeah, like once you can get your fats back, you can. You know what? I'm wondering, because there's different ways you can do it. If you're going to look at food allergens, then you would want to wait until after your nuts before you start working out, because you will have inflammation with working out, of course. But then if you're doing introduction of foods and exercise at the same time, you're not going to be able to identify anything. But you can have different perspectives. You can either just say, well, whatever, I don't care, I want to work out, and not worry about those food allergens, and just do your working out and then go back into and then when you're done, then really test the foods.
I think because I've kind of already tested foods for the last couple of years,
you know.
I know that it's dairy, and I know that it's pretty much all wheat type things, right? I know it's I probably know more of them than I was, willing to admit to myself.
Yeah.
So I could definitely stay away from those. Like, I've done all these like sensitivity tests on all these things, right? Like, so I'm pretty sure I'm aware probably of like 90% of them, and then I will be even more so once I get back into it, and we'll figure the gym out, right? Like right now, like today, I felt like I didn't even need food, and I was on like top of the world, right? So I'm sure like, I think I'm going to need 3 or 4 rounds. I'm sure once I get to there, it might be a lot tougher.
Yeah.
Get into that fat reserve. But.
And what day are you on?
I guess today was 24.
24.
Including fat loading.
Okay, so 24. All right, so you're into the next half.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm just looking at the 6-week plan to see. Someone else, I'm trying to think who it is. It might be Amanda Allen. She's always had a dairy sensitivity, and so she was nervous about bringing back the dairy, and I said, well, you can give it a try. or you can try like maybe goat's milk, see if that's a little bit gentler. Anyway, so I can't remember the story. Anyway, I should get her to explain it to me again. Anyway, so here she's always thought she's been avoiding dairy. Then she brought back gluten and had a serious reaction. And so now she knows that gluten's bothering her. The dairy's not bothering her. So here where she always thought it was dairy, it might have been always the gluten, so it's an interesting thing. And the same eggs. Who was I talking about? Oh, there's another girl in the program who is now having reactions to eggs. She goes, I never had a reaction to eggs before, but food allergies and food sensitivities are two different things, right? So like a food allergy, you're going to, the hives, anaphylactic, whatever. A food sensitivity is going to take way longer to have a reaction. And we don't recognize it as fast. So anyway, now she's going to go back to, just sort of the meat, fruit, like sort of protocol food, but no, not putting a limit on it, calorie wise. And then she's going to reintroduce eggs, but then she's going to do the eggs. And if she feels sick, she knows it's eggs. And I said, well, then you can even test that further, because it just may be the egg white that you can't have, and then you can put yolks in your meal. Cause that's my daughter. She can't do egg whites. But she'd fine if we put yolks in cake and that, but, it's all an interesting process and learning, right? For me,
I know with dairy, like for example, in the past, like when we were doing the gym and the workout and we came off paleo, like for example, Greek yogurt that was full fat, high protein, I never had a problem reacting to it. But if I ate like sort of lower quality sugar yogurt or even like a full glass of milk, right away, like all the sensitivity reactions, right?
Okay.
And like goat's milk yogurt or never bothered me at all, right? So I know there's certain things that like if they're more processed, right, like low fat or anything like that, I automatically react to it. And it might actually be the extra sugar and the extra preservatives in it, which I think is what my allergies are stemming from, versus the actual dairy itself, right? So like there's certain things that I know that I'm fine with versus others that I won't. So I probably won't reintroduce those ever. The eggs are interesting because I apparently have a sensitivity to eggs, but I don't always experience it. And for me, it would come up as like taste aversion thing. Like some days I would be eating it and it just wouldn't go down. Like my body didn't want to consume it at all. Versus other days it seemed to be fine. And my daughter was born with both dairy and allergy sensitivity. Dairy and egg allergies right away at 6 months. She was at the hospital, right? So she was born that way. So apparently it runs in our family. So who knows?
Yeah, you gave it to her, right?
Apparently, and it's funny because I ate it all along. I never had an issue with it, right? But after she was diagnosed with it, a lot of my family members said, oh, they were like that as kids too. And I guess continue eating it and probably don't even realize that it causes like internal inflammation, but they're not having any kind of external reactions, right?
Yeah, until they, all those common diseases start showing up and they think it's diabetes or whatever. It's like, well, it's not, your gene expression is only 10%. 70% is how you fuel yourself, right? So, interesting stuff. I had that experience with, so I had gone 5 years ago now, I think, 2012, I went paleo, so eliminated and got rid of so many issues within like a week and 2 weeks. It was awesome. I couldn't leave my house because I had IBS so bad. So, it would either be constipated and I felt like there was cement and I'd be in pain and like rocking on the floor, or the opposite, where it was like peeing out of the eye of a needle, right? Or out of your butthole. Like it was brutal. And then that created more anxiety, depression. It was just this, awful downward spiral. But within a week of going paleo, my bowels cleared right up. And it was like, whoa, this is what it feels like to be normal. So that was awesome. But I was still having some bloating and crampy things going on. And, I went through all the foods. It turned out to be the tomato. And I'm like, if someone said it was grains or flour or soy or, I would have been like, yeah, whatever. But when they said tomato, I thought my life had fallen apart because like salsa, spaghetti sauce, I was having tomatoes at every meal in some form or another. And that was like the worst experience. Not like, that's like the ruby jewel, especially with an Italian family, right? Like you're like the tomato, no. But I went on a healing protocol. I did 3 months of no tomatoes, and then I had a bit of salsa, and I was like in bed with cramps instantly. And I was like, okay, I can't ever eat tomatoes again. Then I went 6 months, and there was I had ordered a burger and a salad, no bun at a restaurant where the tomato was underneath the meat. I didn't know it until I had a bite, and I was like, and I had a little bit of a reaction, and a year later, after doing some gut healing, I can eat tomatoes, and thank God, because they're on this protocol, right? So food sensitivities aren't static, so you can heal from them and introduce. And that's what I find, like my naturopath, I'm like, I want to do a food panel. Like I've done one before, but I wanted to do another one. He's like, Shannon, it's like, it's forever changing, and I'm spending like $500 and something that's not static, that's not the rest of my life. So I'm like, okay, I'll just know from my body reaction. But yeah, it's frustrating that we just can't be normal like other people. But then some of those people aren't aware, and they have a shorter lifespan and a less quality life. So I'd like to know. I want to know.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with food-caused inflammation, right? Like it can take it's like that whole sensitivity of the foods in your blood versus having an anaphylactic reaction. It can take 20, 30, 40 years until you start getting symptoms and you start having, high blood pressure, you start having diabetes, you start having like all of a sudden your cholesterol is wrong, right? Your triglycerides are out of balance and all that stuff. And that is, anything like that is like inflammation, right? So that some people will argue is like 99.9999% caused by the food we've consumed over the last whatsoever, and didn't recognize that leaky, when you say like somebody said to me, you have leaky gut, right? Well, that's obviously food then. And I've been able to like get their 90% cure that, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of people, when you talk to them, they all think I'm out to lunch, right? Mm-hmm. Like I had a conversation with a family member, and she just got a book on inflammation. And I'm like, good for you. But I said, remember about 5 years ago when I talked to you about paleo, you were completely making fun of me and telling me I'm on some stupid fad thing again and this is BS, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, remember that? I'm like, I'm proud of you that like 5 years later you picked up this book and you're like taking it to heart, right? Mm-hmm. Because like, you're ready, right? So it's kind of like, it's like, I'm not teasing you or anything because I'm actually proud, because 5 years ago you like gave me heck, right?
Yeah, you were the crazy one. Yeah. And it's funny because like the same thing, like it's been 5 years of me being paleo and putting it all over Facebook, and I've got all these people, especially my sister, you're crazy, and then I would get into like I've been brewing kombucha for 4 or 5 years, or probably 4 years now, and my sister's like, what is that? Like it all grossed out, but then now she's the big kombucha brewer, and then I got into, learning about my chakras. I wanted to learn about that for meditation, or, I like to learn. I'm like a perpetual student anyway, but, and then she came to visit and I had all my crystals out and she's like, woo woo, and by the end of the weekend, I had her at the store buying her crystals, so it's like, you're the crazy one, but then, they do eventually go, wait a minute, this isn't like what we're doing isn't working, and you gotta open your mind and,
Yeah, totally. I love learning from other people too. And I have some friends who study Reiki, and they're into it and they help me out. And that's the friend that's saying that my allergies are stress. So I'm like, she's probably right. And it's actually funny because my daughter's nightlight is a Himalayan salt lamp, right?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And today she was actually doing an Epsom salt soak on her feet because she has nightmares. She has a hard time sleeping. Yeah. So I'm saying my mom was actually giving her an Epsom salt bath soak for her feet because she has issues with nightmares during sleep, and that magnesium calms her. And when I tell people that's her therapy, everybody's like, "You're a lunatic," because she's 5, right? And I'm like, but it helps her sleep through the night. She doesn't have nightmares on those nights because the magnesium clearly relaxes her enough. So I'm like, I don't care if I'm nuts. It helps her, and she sleeps calmly. The house sleeps, and whatever, right? I'm like, I'm ready to like burn sage in her room as long as she doesn't have nightmares.
Oh my God, I burn sage all the time.
3 years of it, right? It's 3 years of nightmares, and the stuff she comes out with, I cannot even imagine. Like, she doesn't watch much TV, but the things that her brain comes up with, like, is beyond me. So I'm like, we try everything to make sure she's calm, right? And a lot of it is like natural things, because I'm not gonna like give her, I don't know, sleeping aids, right? Like medication, whatever. She's 5.
Yeah.
I laugh. So I got everybody hooked on salt lamps about a year ago, and everybody has them now, right? And my sister-in-law's like, well, what's this magnesium you were talking about? I'm like, so it's kind of funny, right? Like, you're the crazy lady at first, and then everybody kind of comes around when they start seeing a benefit for themselves.
Yeah, I was just going to post a link. I was just going to post a link here. Let me see if I can find it fast for you guys. This is just my daughter's story. If you're, bored one day, you can see all the things she does, and she's 15, so she's not, like, it's been 18 months, but now she's got people following her and her journey. Let me find it first here. Cut and get back to the video, and then I'll okay. Did that come up?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is what my daughter Romy has been doing since her diagnosis, and so it touches on, like we're talking about holistically tonight, looking at food, looking at infections we've been exposed to, looking at gut health, looking at hormonal health, toxins, stress, is another big one. And then for her, because of the MS, I also looked at her vascular system. So anyway, it's a bit of a story, but anyway, you can see all the crazy stuff we're doing. Like my kids sleep in hammocks. They don't sleep in beds. They have hammocks in their room, and I have people going, what? But then I've done the research on hammock sleeping, and it is like, it heals the brain, and I'm doing everything I can for my kids. So, so it's kind of, we're the wackos until, wasn't Einstein like crazy? Everyone thought he was crazy, and now we're like, oh, so just keep being crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah, I find with my daughter, because I can recognize my own addiction to food, and where and when I was damaged, for lack of a better word, right? And whom affected me throughout my years. I find my husband and I are very that's why the whole lifestyle changed when she was about 2. So it's been 3 years now. We keep her very active. She eats very balanced and healthy. We don't use diet, we use the word balance. There's no healthy or unhealthy food. It's balanced.
Right.
Lifestyle. She's into Taekwondo every day. She does, she exercises, she has to be fit, and, not for anything crazy, but just to make sure that she grows up around balance, right? That you don't use anything to have an abusive relationship, whether it's food, alcohol, drugs, whatever, right? You can get addicted to anything, especially if you have an addictive personality. So I find like it's kind of eye-opening that way too, because sometimes I find like I was posted that ice cream comment, I think that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
She's always done that since she was born. She never finished a chocolate. She never finished anything that she didn't want to finish, right? And I always said, you know what, maybe it's because I never assumed anything onto her. I never made her finish her food. I always said she would know better, right? She, even when she couldn't express herself verbally, I just knew, obviously she knows she's not hungry, and when she's hungry, she'll eat. because I think that was a conscious effort because I was always forced to finish my plate regardless.
Yeah,
And then
me
it
too.
stays, right? Like that's a generational thing. I think it's like our
Mhm.
parents always did that or our grandparents did that. So I find like now I'm noticing how that is true because she can now eat when she wants to eat, not eat when she doesn't eat, right? And I can see there's a day where she like be completely vegetarian and another day where she'll devour like 3 portions of protein because clearly her body needs that specific day, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, obviously the nature knows better, right? In this instance, I don't have a healthy relationship with food. So how can I teach her? So I'm actually happy I trusted that, but I find now I have a lot learning to do. And when I try to reflect on my own, like on myself, I see like where it goes right and where it goes wrong, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess definitely that era, right? Finish everything on the plate. I remember like falling asleep at the kitchen table, you know, and now I look back and I go like, I don't understand it. I don't know, but, you know, why that was so important. But yeah, I did the same thing with my kids and you know, Romy has a very good, healthy relationship with food. Seneca is more like me. So it's like I really have to do work on her, and she's an overeater. She's a stress eater, the carbs, you know, so I'm working with her as well. And, you know, with the help of Erica and getting her on some sort of, what is it? The chast tree or chase tree. And I don't know if I'm saying it right. Chast or chase. I don't know. But, you know, just to get her, because she's 14, she's, you know, and overweight, you know, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I wasn't overweight until my 20s, but still the behaviors all started earlier. But yeah, no, we got to be good role models for our kids, right? So that's.
Yeah, I was always overweight, so I was always scared. And my daughter was born tiny. So I was always scared, like everybody's like, oh, you know, when you have a chubby baby, they grow up to be skinny. But my thing was like 5 pounds when she was born. So they're like, oh, she's going to be fat by the time she's 2. She's going to be fat by the time she's 3. And I was like, you people are so mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I think like that kind of gets to you because I don't ever remember being thin unless I was on a diet, right? And it was like all throughout my life, as I've told you. So I feel like with her, now I'm really kind of aware of like where I was 8 and somebody told me I'm fat, and we don't use that word in our house, right?
No, yeah.
And I don't already like set her up for being an overweight kid or person, right? Because that's where that's where I am, that's where my husband is, that's where our families are, right? Like my husband was never a thin child, I was never a thin child, but somehow she's still thin, right? And I'm like, I don't think it's the food, but it's also everything else, right? Like it's the stress and everything else that has to do with it.
You're going. Good night, Cheryl.
Good night, Cheryl.
We'll see you next Tuesday and see you online.
Yep. See you next Tuesday.
See you next
Okay.
Tuesday.
Good night.
Night. Yeah, it's you know, like Seneca, she was always very muscular and she was into gymnastics and everything, and then to see her decline in her activity, and then her food go up, and then her, you know, it's scary. You know, I was really upset about, oh gosh, just after Christmas. And then she came to me, and she's like, Mom, I got on the scale. And my scale's in my room sort of hiding because I don't want the kids on the scale because it's like, it doesn't measure anything for them. But she got on the scale and she was 190 at 14. And I was like, you know, but she decided, she goes, I'm not doing anymore. I said, well, what are you going to do about it? You know, like instead of being mommy and it's okay. And I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to take Erica's approach, you know, how she, you know, says, how does this make you feel? Like, is this what you want? And, you know, like really puts you in the, not in the pain, but the reality, right, of our situation. And so I did that with Seneca, and I said, and what are you going to do? Like, what can you do about it? Because I'll support you. But anyway, she decided to cut out all gluten and sugar, and she lost, like, since, oh God, I can't remember when she started. I guess January. So from January to now, it's 25 pounds. So, and she looks good, and it was just from cutting out gluten and sugar. Yeah. So very, very simple. But you're, you know what? How old's your daughter? Did you say
5.5?
5.5. So you know what? Perfect age for you to be doing this and for her to see, you know, she's just gonna, you know, and then you guys exercising. And I know, like, Erica posted a video of her doing push-ups. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I'm thinking, and Alice walks by in the video, and I'm thinking, that is just so awesome. Not that she's doing push-ups, but that she's doing, you know, just that role model for Alice and saying, this is, you know, and I want to be a, you know, I've been a paleo role model, but the kids haven't, you know, they didn't get on board. Romy didn't get on board until she was diagnosed, because then she was like, no, I know it's the food I eat, you know, so they do learn from us. And, you know, but anyway, Amelia, I'm going to go take my, my melatonin, half a pill, see how I fare tonight. I'm a little nervous. I don't like feeling, you know, that druggy feeling.
Yeah,
But,
I don't have that option because my daughter's up pretty much every night at 3.
Oh no, right. Is she still in bed with you too?
No, she will either scream for us or she'll wander the house. One time, sometimes she'll end up in my mom lives with us, so sometimes she'll be in her bed. Sometimes she'll sneak on top, like she'll literally jump on me and wake me up if she doesn't scream. Sometimes she screams, we gotta go there. So we gotta. My husband and I have to be pretty much awake, like aware to hear her. So.
Oh yeah, that's. Well, hopefully that'll start to go away, or she'll grow. Seneca had night terrors.
Yeah, that's what she has. Night terrors, nightmares. My husband was a sleepwalker until about 9. So I mean, who knows, right?
Okay.
She'll grow out of it eventually.
Yeah, and then you'll be able to sleep, right?
Yeah, sure. Then she'll be a teenager. It'll be a whole other reason why I'm not sleeping.
Exactly. You know, my Seneca's out right now, but she's getting a ride home. She should be, she's at gaming night. So they do Dungeons and Dragons on Thursday night, or whatever games they're playing. It's their social, no technology night. So I really like that. Romy didn't go because she had homework and she had to do a magnetic clay bath tonight. So she was like, no. So she's doing her metal detox stuff. But yeah, that'll be a whole other reason. We'll be laying at night like, So appreciate that they're in our beds and in our homes right now, right?
Exactly. Okay, you have a good night.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.